Hi, my name is I, played the original Dooms and also Quakes since 1998. So there's a lot of talk about the new Doom, the single player is amazing, and the multiplayer could be amazing. It's fun and I'm going to keep playing, but there are some issues that should be addressed. Quick tip, to load multiplayer straight away, go into properties and set launch options to com_game mode 2. And the key configuration is hard to set up. It has to be set for single player, multiplayer and snap map, as in separately, which is a waste of time. But it makes sense when you consider how they developed Doom. It constantly gives a warning of the keys already being binded to something else, and if you just change it, it can forget it. Try to write the config and execute it later, and it messes up the graphics, but doesn't change the keys. So that's a bug I hope they fix. I eventually got my config to work, but I'm scared to change anything. Next, loadouts. Technically we have 4 weapons, being melee, grenade, and the 2 mains. But having 2 main guns is a bit simple. With all the great weaponry in the game, it's such a shame to limit it like that. And also, there are some balance issues, but I'm sure they'll get onto those later. I always point out that there are 3 main aiming styles. All weapons are just variations of these. 1. Leading, so projectiles. That's your rockets, grenades, plasma gun, anything with travel time where you have to lead your enemies. 2. Tracking. That's your machine guns, lightning gun, anything that hits instantly and is rapid fire, but does very little damage per hit. And 3. Instant. That's anything that is point and click for high damage but slow reload. So sniper weapons like AWP, railgun, vortex rifle, and so on. So if they won't give us all the guns, why not let us choose one of each? 1 projectile, 1 rapid fire, 1 sniper. Sounds like fun to me and shouldn't unbalance the game because everyone has it. Let's look at the game modes. We have Team Deathmatch, where you start with 2 guns and kill the enemy team while getting some power-ups. Then Soul Harvest, where you start with 2 guns and kill the enemy team and also get their souls. Domination, start with 2 guns, kill the you see where this is going. They're all basically the same mode. And in Australia, no one wants to play anything but Team Deathmatch. Which is fair enough because the other modes aren't all that different. In Snap Map, there's an option to create a capture the flag map. So here's what I hope they do. Get rid of most of the modes. I'm sure most will say, but you just want this to be Quake. But no, Quake is just the standard because it's been finely tuned for the last 18 years. I would love a new game that builds off the knowledge we already have, instead of a game that built off one part of the knowledge and then just repeated itself and said it was different. So remove Soul Harvest, Domination and Freeze Tag. I think Warpath is interesting enough to keep because it adds an interesting spin on Team Deathmatch. However, it's still a bit too similar. If they're going to keep Clan Arena, they should give us all weapons, and it won't be a surprise if that becomes the most played mode. And then they should just add Capture the Flag. But it would be great if they had a totally different mode that we've never seen before. Now for the actual game. The speed is fine, the movement is just a bit boring. They need to add crouch sliding, strafe jumping, rocket jumping, just something. A double jump is great, but maybe they don't understand what strafe jumping is. The whole issue is speed of movement versus ability to aim. You have to keep that balanced and the player speed is already pretty high. So how to fix that? Just give us a way of increasing our speed in a straight line, so it doesn't affect our dodging speed. That's strafe jumping, it adds speed in a forward direction. It doesn't make people harder to hit, it just makes it faster to get places. And less boring walking time, which is a good thing. We want battles, not excessive walking simulations. Let me show you in Quake Live. So running speed is about 320, forward and back. Moving left and right is also 320. If you jump, it carries the momentum a little, and if you add strafing, it adds the speed plus carries the momentum. If I try to change direction, I lose all my speed. So this is just a way of moving around the map faster, similar to using the knife in CSGO, and even bunny hopping. It's just a little extra that you can do to decrease the boring walking around time. So forget whether something is like Quake or not, just find a solution to reduce the boring non-action times, as in walking to get back into battle, or reposition. The only time people find movement the most fun part of the game is when it's super fast and like racing, but that's no good for actual gameplay. I think game developers need to stop ignoring this. Speed it up without making people too hard to hit. That's your goal, game designers. Moving on, the demons are not overpowered. My video showing the demon kill sprees were against new players. When I hear an enemy gets a demon, I either position myself for cheap shots or I just stay away. It's pretty obvious where it's spawning, as everyone in the map hears it. I've been in games where you die in 3 seconds as a demon, because the players know how to get into position and they do a lot of damage. In other words, stop being a defeatist and start using the winning mindset to figure out how to win. Trust me, it's possible. I saw games where it would put 3 highly ranked players against new players. Ridiculously boring and bad for the game. Give us a challenge, not a walkover. Speaking of boring, the whole thing with Quake Duel and TDM is people love to feel like they're doing something, even if it means timing things. That's another way of reducing the boring walking time. Give people something to think about while walking. The hack modules add very little to this game. I barely pay attention to them, but I think there are too many and they're too random. Maybe just let the player choose 3 per game and allow them to activate them once each. That way at least there's a bit of strategy involved, and people can think about that while they're walking too. So look, it's a great game, I really enjoy it, but coming from Quake, and knowing how smart the developers were about keeping the game fun, I really hope the Doom multiplayer team can take some notes. There is just so much potential to this game, it would be sad to see it go to waste. And as I said, I really don't mind how they address these issues, they just need ways to counter these problems of walking too much boring, only a couple of weapons, and just really limiting the creativity of players. I'm already finding it's getting a bit too repetitive, and that's coming from someone who's played Quake for over 17 years. Anyway, I'll post more Doom videos in the future, subscribe if you haven't already for more gaming videos and of course mouse reviews. Like this one, and I'll catch you in the next.